let's talk today about the way in which AI can help us save time, live better, be healthier, be stronger, be prettier. Maybe not all that, but at least how AI can help us somewhat.
The Christian Principles Podcast is brought to you in partnership with the Herzog Foundation. But bear in mind, the views and opinions expressed here are those of the hosts and not necessarily of the Herzog Foundation.
Welcome to the Christian Principles Podcast. I'm Matt George.
And I'm Mark Zockel. Today we review another send-in by one of our listeners. I think you hinted that you have one coming about AI. As a teacher, I am loving using it, and I can become a great tutor for a teacher. Or AI can become a great tutor for a teacher. Obviously, there are problems and concerns about students using it to cheat, but it will be with us for generations to come, just like the calculator is ubiquitous now.
Oh, that calculator.
Yeah.
Don't get me started.
Not the first time I've heard someone compare the calculator to AI.
No, not the first time.
However, it is the last time I heard one such comparison was in the context of phones. And so somebody said, just like calculators came along and changed the dynamic and teachers rebelled against calculators, so teachers are going to rebel against phones and AI usage. But the person who was fielding the conversation said, yes, but comparing a calculator to a phone is like comparing a Stone Age wheel to a modern tire, or just something like you're talking about an incredibly different tool.
A rather simplistic application on a much more complex device.
Absolutely. So in this discussion, we agree. AI or whatever comes from AI, whatever it self-generates, because it's wise, it's smart that way.
It's pretty smart.
The robots will take over.
Yep.
Whatever it creates will be with us for a long time. So after we hear from the Herzog Foundation, we're going to have a conversation about AI quickly in general, but then move into a discussion of how we use AI every day to support Christian school administrators.
Pause. No, I don't mean pause the episode. I mean, let's take a pause from the episode so I can talk to you about the Herzog Foundation. Mark and I are honored to partner with this amazing organization. Like the Christian Principles Podcast, Herzog wants to see your school grow and be successful. To help you achieve those next steps, you will definitely want to check out the Herzog Foundation Institute. Whether you are looking for some quick online training or have the desire to grow with fellow educators at a conference, HFI has you covered. What's even better is that as long as you can get yourself to the many conferences offered throughout the year, Herzog will cover all the costs while you're there, including food and hotels. You really can't beat that. Head over to herzogfoundation.com and get yourself and your team signed up for some training today. What are you waiting for? Just one more thing before we get back to the episode. If Herzog has been a blessing to you and your school, would you mind sending us a message telling us how? We'd love to share that with others.
Okay, so coming back again, quickly, we are going to affirm a few things.
Well, let me say one thing, because
go ahead and say one thing.
One
thing is all you get.
One thing. We say AI is a new thing, but I can remember talking about AI when I was a kid.
Many moons ago.
Usually came in context right after we talked about a battle in Jericho. It was always followed by AI. And AI was a small thing. Nobody really cared about it. But, hey,
big deal.
It was a big deal, right?
I thought you were going to go VeggieTales with that and throwing slushy
off
the wall.
Here's the thing. I'm nearly a post VeggieTales. That was a little behind me, like slightly, to the point like I would be embarrassed admitting to watching VeggieTales.
As a kid, yeah, I hear you.
It was too old. I was too old for that.
I bought them myself from Sam's Club on VHS, so I remember that now. I put good hard-earned money towards VHS toward those VeggieTales.
To each his own. But, okay.
So, but thank you for the.
I had to throw that in.
That was amazing. So we talk about AI to affirm a few things. Yes, we are well aware of the problems associated with AI. We're not talking about that today.
I don't know what you're talking about. There's no problem.
Matt's children in his school, his students, are just little angels.
I just
Literal
love the AI.
angel waves. Yes, absolutely. So AI is not going to be something that we're going to be, much as any tool, that we're going to be able to completely get behind in all of its applications, because man is good at sinning. Man's real good at sinning. And
For
so
nothing else,
Yeah.
that's what we're
very
pretty
good
good
at that. Good at being selfish in that way.
Like,
And even hurting ourselves because of the question of, are we smarter or lazier because of our technology?
Yeah.
Wonderful question. But we're not going there. In fact, where Matt was going originally, before we went back all the way to Jericho, I thought he was going to say we've been using AI for a while, because we have. If you think
we
about,
have. We really have.
If you think about Microsoft Word, which the very early iterations of the grammar check.
Yeah, the little red squiggly line.
Yeah.
Oh, I spelled something wrong.
Yeah, it found it for you.
Yeah.
That's AI use.
Or it's so dumb it thinks I spelled somebody's name wrong that I know is right.
But it still makes me second guess it, though.
You know how? Did you ever do the thing where you're just like add to dictionary, add to dictionary, add to dictionary
all the time.
all the time? Like, I'm sick of this word being underlined that I know is spelled correctly.
My Microsoft Word, I teach online for Maranatha Baptist University, and at one point I was using my wife's computer because I was not in my regular desk situation. I was using a computer that my wife at some point had used, and so it was her name associated with a Microsoft Word account, even though she was not on it. Like, it wasn't an unsafe situation for the student because she was no longer on this device. It was me on the device. But either way, I sent the student back comments on Microsoft Word on there, and I got reached out to by my boss saying, basically, don't have your wife
answer students
and grade these papers. I said, please understand, it was me. It was absolutely me. My wife, main thing, she is not one to do my work for me. She would laugh at me and say, no way.
Oh, man.
So that is funny. But yes, Microsoft Word, the AI usage there. And again, not even early Googling, but just Googling something, much to do with auto filler and whatnot. We're looking at AI usages. Any kind of, I don't want to say any kind, because at some point I'm going to get way in over my skis here, but discussions of analytics of data have long been AI informed, even if the people using them weren't calling it that. Correct. So to speak. So let's be clear, we are not in a day and age where we escape AI usage almost at all. Like, it's around us and has been a part of us for a while. So what we're talking about today will be neither the discussion of the ills of it, or the, how soon till the robots take over the world. Right. We're going to talk about the application of it to the role of the Christian school principal to better their lives.
Yeah. We're looking at the resources that exist because of this technology.
Now, we're not going to get as in-depth as all of our listeners could get, because you listeners out there, I'm sure you have found workflows, love that, and processes that work for you, including different AI tools. We're going to throw out some of the ones that work for us. Matt, we were just going over our ages yesterday. Matt is 55 years old.
No, not quite.
Not quite.
No,
not quite.
No.
Matt is?
The 8 followed by the 3. Actually, here's the funny thing. Yesterday I turned 38. But for thank you. For the past year, I have thought I was 38 years old. I don't know why. I could never convince myself I was 37. But now I can stop lying to people. I actually am 38.
Actually, I'm 38.
Yeah.
So I am. My birthday.
Just a baby.
I do the year we are in plus 11.
Okay.
So I was at 89.
That's the way to do it.
The year we are in plus 11 makes me 36 right now. Easy squeezy, lemon peasy. I appreciate that about my. Well, actually, I take it back. I won't be 30. I won't be 36 until
Correct.
July.
Yeah, you're not
actually
there
only 35 right
hang
now.
Hang on.
Yeah,
it's coming.
So,
it's coming.
Much the same as you, I lie about my age sometimes without meaning to. But that does put us in a realm where we attended school when you were expected to have a computer to turn in assignments.
Barely.
Well, okay. Just like VeggieTales, you were almost.
I did write one paper on a computer before I graduated. That was rather of length, I would say.
Gotcha.
I did many things on the computer, but
I was definitely expected to both turn things in by hand and turn things in on the LMS. So I had those experiences, but I was on a computer prior to that, and then definitely in graduate school it was almost completely turning online. So that was, I'm not, I don't believe I'm technically a digital native, but I would have been one of the first closest to it. So these applications and whatnot, I can actually type. I don't check and peck. I can actually type. And so these applications are those of which that I find useful, but I fully understand that we have listeners that are well below us in age, perhaps, as well as well above us. So we're going to start general, and maybe some of these for certain listeners, these are every day, and you're well aware of them. For some of you, maybe adding one of these to your workflows will completely revolutionize some of what you do.
Well, here's something. I feel like this is interesting because when I started as an administrator, which I inherited from you.
Yes.
Was one of these things that was on my desk that I moved constantly and never used. And it's that thing known as a Rolodex. That for whatever reason, I kept picking it up off my desk and coming into the secretary and saying, why do I have this? We live in the age of technology. Clearly there's a better way. And she said, put it back on your desk.
Put it back on your desk. You think I had it on my desk?
Yeah, exactly. That's why. But
we've already gone through. My desk was minimalistic. Your desk is a mess. So if I could get
it doesn't have a Rolodex anymore. I will say that.
If I could get it off my desk, I absolutely did. There's a reason that was still on my desk. That was a hill not worth dying on. So, and every now and then useful. I'll put it that way too. Okay, but back to. So if I was going to offer up a readily available AI tool that should be used, we're going to begin reminding many that we've talked about are the Google Suites for the Google Suite, the Google Workspace. I very much appreciate Google Docs, Google Sheets, and those sorts of things. But that starts with Gmail. And if your school happens to use Gmail, or in this case, Outlook too, both of them have features that, if turned on by the knowledgeable IT staff, could take pieces of your mail when you read it and automatically upload them to your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar. So be aware of those AI tools out there, that if I am opening up an email from somebody and the AI reader is turned on, it will perhaps skim that email and look for any kind of date that is available and suggest to me in a pop-up command that I include that date on my Google Calendar. This is another reason why it may be useful for you to go ahead and realign. If you happen to be one who has an iPhone, and so you use the iPhone's native calendar app, but then you have a Gmail account for your workspace, and you are, pick a different application service or whatnot, that it might be a good idea to realign all in critical alignment, so that when you are on your Gmail and it gets booted to your Google Calendar, that is the calendar that you actually use. Or reverse it. Whatever you happen, or if you're on Outlook, it gets moved to your Microsoft calendar. Whatever it happens to be, just perhaps consider that for easy integration and taking advantage of what Gmail has to offer.
Right there,
Mm-hmm. Do you have another one to offer up?
I mean, I can't help but think about, and I don't know if I have a specific application for this, but when it just comes to AI in general, like even with emails, as we're talking about emails, I always, when I'm responding perhaps to a unhappy parent,
charged email,
or even like I have to let somebody know something that they may not take very well. Like I am the one that writes the email, deletes the email, writes the email, deletes the email, writes the email, deletes the email, and then finally writes something that has nothing to do with anything. It says, "Hey, can we talk?" And then it's sent. But there are those tools that you can take your email, say everything you need to say, copy, paste it in there, and say, read this email, and either tell me how it sounds, so that there's I wish I could remember.
A tone checker.
There's a tone checker, to see like how is this going to come across to somebody, but also even just simple AI like ChatGPT, or one I use is Perplexity a lot, where I'll say, hey, rewrite this in a way that will be accepted well, or something to my audience. Here's my target audience, and it'll spit back something to me that I can look at and say, oh yeah, that sounds way better.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's the other thing that just I know, as far as a firsthand like go to, where can AI really help me? That's one of the things in my communications that even if it's just suggest ways to say this, or whatever, that I find that helpful.
Very good. If we're looking at, he mentioned Chat GPT and Perplexity.ai, both of those are going to be the quintessential type in the question, get a response.
Yeah.
Those are very, those are the ones that are often under fire for being the ones the students use. But those are the ones that can be general knowledge helpful. There's also much more available on those than we often give them credit for.
Yes.
So, for example, I happen to use class ignitions, and I like to start my class with whatever the Bible verse happens to be that we're memorizing, and then to get the conversation flowing, especially first, second hour of the day, I'll have a class ignition, and I will talk and there's a million names for class ignitions, class starters, thought prompts, whatever it happens to be, conversation starters. But if I'm looking for them over the course of the school year, I'm looking for 180, and at some point I just run out.
Yeah.
So I might say, and it is intuitive. If you log in with the same email, the Chat GPT or the Perplexity will keep a log of what you have asked it prior.
Yeah.
And so it's intuitive enough to know that I'm in this profession. I'm going to ask it to make a class ignition, and it has come to an understanding of what the class ignition is supposed to be. So if I get on now, late in the school year, and say, develop 10 class ignitions for a middle school Bible class around a circus theme, it will do so.
Yeah.
If your life right now is a 3-ring circus, what are the 3 most prominent events happening that would take up the 3 rings of the circus?
Right.
It's crazy stuff like that. Or if you were a clown today, what emotion would be on your painted on your face? So those kind of class ignitions, and it does save me time from thinking through them myself. Which of course, in all we say, could we do this ourselves? Yes. Does it save us time? Yes. And we're talking about time-saving techniques,
right? Because
time is one of the most valuable things that we have under us as a resource. So I definitely would say use ChatGPT and Perplexity and whatnot for all of what they can offer, including, let's say it spits out to me that those 10 ignitions, but it's in a format that says ignition number 1, and that's bolded, and then underneath of that is the ignition question. Then there's a thought as to why it's an appropriate ignition question or what critical assessment it follows. I can rephrase underneath and say, restate this list in a simpler format.
Yep.
And now ChatGPT and Perplexity and others, it will suggest other things you can do with that information, like, please, would you like me to make this more formal, or would you like me to do X, Y, Z with this? So there are know that in those tools, it's not just type in, get response, copy and paste out, move forward.
Right.
There's a lot to do there. I'll also say that for those who have a Google Classroom, or you're using an LMS, which asks you to make, or you're asked to make announcements in your classroom routinely in your digital classroom, it is very nice to be able to copy and paste into the AI the different, the description of the week and perhaps the major assignments of the week, and then have it spit out for you an announcement for the week.
Yeah.
If that's something that you routinely take a lot of time to do. So there are options there. What would you want to say?
Well, I would just say, outside of, that content creation, because, even sometimes, AI isn't, as far as I know, it's not creating brand new content. It is scouring what is in existence, and it's piecing it together for you, right? That's how I understand AI.
Well, I would say that if I had, like in Perplexity, if I asked it to create something that isn't created, it will create a brand new haiku.
Right,
and
but it's doing that based on
what exists. Yes.
Right.
It doesn't know what a haiku is until someone tells it what a haiku is.
Correct. So like, I'll just say, one of the things I thought was really kind of fun was, in my Bible class this year, I started the year by saying, I told Perplexity, create 10 brand new Bible verses that are similar to the King James Version of the Bible. And then I also told it to give me 10 obscure, like the most obscure actual King James verses.
Passages.
And then I gave it to my class and I say, identify which ones are AI and which ones are the actual Bible. Because the whole point of that is, we have to be able to discern truth.
Sure.
Right? And so, that's going to be one of the things when we do eventually talk about the dangers of AI and the things that we need to be teaching our kids is be able to identify what is truth and what is not truth. So I say all that to say, AI is a wonderful researcher.
Yes.
And it saves me so much time.
Absolutely.
Because even some things like, what are the laws in Maryland for a Christian school, in various fields or whatever.
Sure.
I know I've gone to the Maryland government website and looked at something probably 15 times since I've been the administrator, but finding it is still a pain. And so to be able to go to a Perplexity and say, what is the Maryland law for Christian school?
Sure.
Yada, 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 yada.
Give me the citation.
Well, I don't even have to say that because Perplexity, one of the things it does is it does tell you where it's getting its information
the citation comes with it.
And you click on that link. And that's a lot of times, like I'll look at their summary, but many times I will just click on that citation because that takes me right to the source and I can confirm, yes, this is the truth. Because it was really funny one time, and what you were saying about it learns you, one time I was saying, what is the Maryland law concerning this? And then it was feeding me some information that was like, I don't know why, but this sounds like really familiar. And I realized it was citing my very own handbook. Like it was pulling it from our school's website. I was like, oh, no wonder. Like I wrote that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you can see, I do like how it shows the different screens it's pulling from as those generators do that. It shows where those sources come from. You mentioned Research Rabbit. This would be a highly, I'll talk about Research Rabbit and Consensus. Consensus and Research Rabbit are both free. Consensus, I can go on to Consensus and say, ask it a more of an academic question. So what is, and I think about this when I think about graduate students in action research or those who are in a classroom and they have a question. So something like, what is the value of paperback versus electronic books in a high school literature classroom? And Consensus is used to getting questions, and it is focused specifically on getting questions like that concerning research items, and then spitting out appropriately scholarly articles. Appropriate research articles on those topics. Research Rabbit, much the same. Let's say I get an article from Consensus that I like a lot. I can plug into Research Rabbit that article, and it will give me all of the references from that article, all the references which that article references, and I can click on any one of those, and it just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. And you go down a rabbit hole. That's the Research Rabbit. so fast, but it, of course, is hugely helpful. And
because you're
here's a
getting
plug.
right to it. You're
Yeah.
getting right to the meat of the information that you're looking
And I
for.
tell my graduate students, well, is this cheating? Well, think about this. Your mother, your grandmother, when they went to college and they had resources available to them that were in the physical library present with them.
Yep.
Maybe in a sister institution close by, maybe in the library next to them. They only had the books they had, the books their faculty had, the books in the library, and the journal. I say books, but really the journals and whatnot. They only had the ones physically available. Perhaps microfilm. And that's what they use. But they use the best they could. We are blessed in this time where I am not physically limited.
Yeah.
I have literally millions of more options than they ever could think of.
But don't you realize how much you are cheating yourself by not utilizing the Dewey Decimal System?
Oh, not at all. I couldn't offer you that
that's
right now.
it. If anything, isn't that they had to go through the process of literally locating the physical position of that book,
and they were stronger for it.
And then they had to thumb through all the pages of that book
to find the one
piece of information, and then they had to make sure they had their note card to write down all the
and by that point it was out of date.
And yeah.
And not only that, but then they had to carry it in the snow back uphill to their house.
Yeah, both ways.
They only had ice skates to put on, so it was really difficult.
So granted, basically all we're saying is we're not doing anything different. We're just doing it way faster.
It's in the modern way. But not only that, but they were called on to do the best with what they had available.
Yeah.
These tools are how we do the best with what we have available. A literature review previously would have been a literature review from a much broader a literature review which would not have been able to be anywhere near as close to their actual research question. However, for us, we're able to get extremely close to our research question because we have so many available pieces of information. It's a difference of to comb through the millions of much closer pieces of information that we have these new tools. They didn't have millions of pieces of information. They only had what's in front of them, and they had to do it with their hands. So it's a new way of doing it, but it doesn't make it wrong.
I can remember in the 6th grade doing a research project on a country, and the country I picked at the time was Iraq. Because it was a wreck at the time, and I was like, I want to know what's going on. Yep. And the sole piece of information that we could use in our school's library, which actually was a great library for a small Christian school, was the set of encyclopedias, which there were several of them. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe at that time the newest edition of encyclopedia that was in there was maybe 1992, which would have been like my kindergarten year. So even then, I remember comparing encyclopedia to encyclopedia and thinking, if this one replaced this one, why am I using that one? You know?
Yep.
But that's what we had available. And granted, we were learning how to research and everything too. So that's when you stop and you consider what we ask our students to do by looking for information, or even what we ourselves would have to do back in the day as administrators researching things. Yeah, it's just we have now unlocked the door to information. Does it mean that we don't have to filter through or decide what is useful, what is false, what is no, we still have to, and maybe it's even more so now. Absolutely. Perhaps, but yeah, it's available and it's helpful, so use it.
Know your tools. Moving away from research, but on to creation again. If your school has an access to Canva, which by the way, Canva for education the pro access should be free for you.
It is. Use it.
Yeah, use Canva.
Not a sponsor, but please Canva.
Use Canva.
Come on, we love
That's
you.
True.
I use you every day.
And maybe something else will come to replace Canva, because Canva is relatively new on the scene. As concerns like Photoshop before, Canva is newer on the scene. Something's going to replace Canva perhaps in the future. But Canva has an AI feature where I can type into the top, give me a blue and yellow background for a Mother's Day invitation. And It will do that for me, or it will spit back out to me what it considers to be very close to that. So many of the websites that we utilize, I can't say that too much. I can't say that too knowledgeably, but relatively speaking, many websites recognize the value of AI and are incorporating it into their creative pieces anyway. So be aware of that, and don't just try to. You don't have to go into a creative app and start from scratch. More than likely, you can probably start having already had something created to begin with.
Yeah.
The only other one we're going so long, but the only other one I wanted to point out is an app for a Google Chrome extension. So if you're in Chrome, I'm not sure if it's available elsewhere, but if you're in Chrome and you add Cider, S-I-D-E-R, Cider is an ever-present extension that if I highlighted, or I think it's if I right-click, or if I highlight a body of text, it will automatically allow me to chat with that text. So the AI recognizes what I've highlighted, and it will open up a side of the screen tab where I can then ask a question about that text. So for example, let's say it could be if a student asks me a question that I don't know, I could grab the text of that and say, hey, what is who was the fifth monarch of the whatever? And it could send me information that I need to verify, but it could give me a quick understanding of what I need to go. It could be
straight from Wikipedia.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Wikipedia is strong, so it could do. There's a lot of application to it depending on what you need it for. But SIDER, and again, if some would use it some would use it on YouTube as a condense this video for me, summarize this video. If I am on a lengthy article and the abstract's not enough, and I want to condense a portion of it into a bite-sized chunk to read or to understand, I can grab the text, say, please summarize this for me, summarize it for me. No one is saying in any of these conversations that this is the way that we grow the best. We were just talking to Dr. McKnight, and he said that he wanted to do his dissertation to stretch himself and to grow as a writer and to be challenged. We get that. We're not saying put that to the side. What we're saying is time is valuable, and some of the things that we spend our lives doing, and we may otherwise have just Googled the response. Doesn't make us wrong. It makes us using a tool we have. There is perhaps even more readily available and stronger tools now to do some of those tasks with than we had before.
Yeah, where I have found Cider to be helpful is I highlight Mark's emails and I say, make this sound like a normal person. and then I can respond.
People tell me all the time that my writing, they know it was me who wrote something. And I was like, how do you? And I stop asking because I don't want to hear the answer.
Just like you hear a piece of music, you automatically know it's John Williams. You start reading some words, and you're like, yeah, that's Shakespeare. There's definitely this aura around Zockle literature.
Oh, I'm going to have to put that in encyclopedia sometime.
There you go.
Put that in my own binder. All right, so tell us what tools you use.
Yeah, what do you find helpful?
What tools you find helpful as a Christian school administrator, and let's have a second episode of the ones that our feeders let us know about that they really appreciate. And I know there's plenty out there for teachers, and we didn't even mention like creating lesson plans, or hey, my teacher is sick and they didn't make lesson plans, and they already used the sub plans, so hey, make me sub plans for third grade science using this, going over this matter today. Create a worksheet for me. You might be upset by how fast it can do that.
I need a snow day packet to send home, so keep kids busy for a whole day.
There you go. Anything like that, take a look at it, and don't be necessarily dismissive of it, because whatever it spits out, you can of course make stronger, or just say, hey, that's hot garbage. We don't want that. In any case, let's move on to our Christian Administrator Spotlight. Today's Christian Administrator Spotlight goes out to Levi Bentley.
Levi
Bentley. Now, Levi Bentley, I have a history with Levi where he was the youth pastor. Thank you. I will tell you about it. He's the youth pastor of Ocean City Baptist Church. He was an educator at Seaside Christian Academy. He recently has informed the nations that he will be moving back to Maui to work with our good friend Jimmy Fitt.
Come on, Levi.
Leaving us. Levi's
Bring me with you.
Oh, lovely, right? He's moving back to Maui to work as a principal.
Way to go, Jimmy.
Doris Todd Christian Academy.
Way to go, Jimmy. You hooked a good one.
Jimmy got a good one. So he'll be working with we work with Jimmy there. And another thing that makes this a very appropriate time to speak of Levi is Levi spent much of his time when he was a public school teacher in Hawaii in different teacher education conferences, talking about the best ways to utilize Google Apps for education back in the day.
There you go.
Yeah. So before it was Google Suite,
Yeah.
Google Workspace, Google Apps for Ed, and he spent a lot of time teaching teachers how to use that successfully. So he is well in tune with the AI of the land, and we get to celebrate a Christian school administrator to be. This might be the first one. I guess Johnny Rebert, technically he was.
Johnny Rebert gets that.
He wasn't. Yeah, he was a facilities manager.
Yeah.
But so it's not the first one, but the second person we're highlighting as a Christian school administrator who is on his way into the blessed field.
Yes.
There you go.
Blessings on your head.
Levi, blessings on you as you head back to Maui and you work through this very first principalship.
Yeah.
You were in school for this. You took some classes in leadership. You didn't see the classes through, and you didn't find yourself in school leadership, but now you do. Now you do, friend. We're excited for you. I will be coming to see you.
Yeah, bring it. I'm seriously.
We're coming.
Jimmy and Levi need to bring out Christian Principles podcast hosts for a live filming or recording on Maui.
Nobody wants to see you sunburnt, though, so maybe not that live.
Yeah, especially not my dermatologist.
They've been cutting so many things out of you. Disgusting. All right, Levi, I want to pray for you right now, and then we're going to move along with the ending of the episode. Father in heaven, I thank you so much for Levi Bentley and the close friend he has been these past few years for me, and we are excited for he and Becky and for his children as they head back out to the beautiful island of Maui, and they get to begin afresh a ministry, in these new roles that he and Becky both are going to have, but he as a Christian school secondary principal. We call down your blessing on the academy there, the Doris Todd Christian Academy, Maui Christian Academy. We ask for your hand of understanding as he goes into a situation with shifting leadership roles as the school has grown and they're changing how it is that they're going about their business as administration. Might he be one to add to bring gospel-mindedness, to bring with him gospel-mindedness and gospel focus to a place which is already doing so, and thereby add honor and glory to your name. We are thankful for him, thankful for his influence that he has had in Ocean City in the last several years, and as he moves along, his influence and his family's influence to come. Lord, bless him now. We love you. Amen.
Amen.
All right. We've talked for way too long.
Woo.
Let's wrap this up. Folks, thanks for growing with us today.
Before you go, please be sure to hit that follow button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, on Spotify, be sure to tap the star icon near the top and select the number of stars you'd like to give us. We'd be so grateful for 5. On Apple Podcasts, scroll down to the ratings and review section and then tap write a review to share your thoughts of the podcast. Thank you.